Hey there! Wow, it has been so long since I have been live here on a regular basis, and so thank you for your patience. The work on our house is almost finished, which means that I can finally find a quiet space to actually do some Facebook Lives. So welcome, and for those of you who don't know me, my name is Vicky Etherington. I'm founder of the Website Mentor, and I help coaches and course creators build their own client-winning websites. So today I am going to have a look at some of the digital tools that I use in my business every single day. And they are tools that I actually genuinely could not run my business without. And the reason why I want to dive into some of them is because there are so many thousands of tools and lots more popping up every single day. And sometimes we get paralyzed by the analysis of what tool we should actually be using, and it just stops us in our tracks. And sometimes it's really helpful to look at someone else's tech stack and see what they're doing. So your digital marketing tools are going to look very different if you are just starting out from someone who has is running a digital marketing agency, for example. And so for us kind of smaller fish in the pond, I want to make sure that you have access to tools which are going to work really, really hard for you and which aren't too difficult for you to come to grips with. And also some of the tools that I'm going to have a quick look at today are ones that you just may not have heard of. So you may know that there are things in your business that you want to be able to automate or do faster or find a better process for, but you're just not quite sure where you should be looking. So I'm going to cover off a whole load of this stuff right now. I'm going to rattle through a whole load of them, and I'm going to post some links into the description afterwards or into the comments so that you can go ahead and check out some of these yourself if you're wanting to have a closer look at any of them. So let me just bring up my notes because I've got a whole list of kind of areas of your business that you might be wanting to focus on. So of course, the first one that I'm going to have a look at is a website, because I use WordPress, and I use WordPress exclusively. That means that every single website that I build in my business or for my clients is built in WordPress, but it's not the only option. So the other platforms that you might want to look at if you don't have a website yet are the likes of Squarespace or Wix. Now, the reason why I don't use those, well, there's so many reasons why I prefer WordPress. In fact, I've got a whole blog post on it, and I will link that in the notes below. But WordPress is free. If you're using the correct version of it, then, and there are two versions, just to make it really confusing, I've got a video on my YouTube channel about the difference between WordPress.com and WordPress.org. But if you're using WordPress.org, which is the self-hosted version of WordPress, then it's free. And basically all you're paying for is the hosting. If you look at a lot of the other platforms, they are subscription-based platforms. And so they're going to cost you a monthly fee to run them and keep everything running on them. And also you don't ever actually own your content on them because they are owned by the platform that you're building on usually. So with the likes of WordPress, you have complete ownership of everything. It's free apart from the hosting plan. And there's just so many reasons to love it. And almost 40% of the world's websites now are powered by WordPress, which kind of speaks volumes for the robustness and the security of the platform. So that's the first thing. So the second thing to think about is analytics. Now, it's really important for you to be tracking analytics on your website. I've done Facebook Lives around the kind of analytics that you should be looking at, but the tools that I use for that are Google Analytics and Google Search Console. I kind of wish that we could merge them, but we can't. They're two separate interfaces. And the reason why you should also connect Google Search Console is because it's going to give you a really, really good insight into the keywords people are using to arrive on your website. So if they're finding you on search engines, then it gives you an insight into how they got there. So the keywords that they're typing in, and that can inform some of your decisions about content that you are then going to go on and create. There are other analytics tools that I also really love. I'm going to post a link. But overall, the ones that you only need to use are the likes of Google Analytics and Google Search Console. So then research. And so research is really important. If you are writing any kind of content, it's really important to have a look around and see what's working for other people and see what people are actually searching for. Because we may think that something's really important for people to know about, but actually until we get feedback from the audience or from the data that's out there, we could be writing content ad infinitum and no one ever reads it because they're not actually searching for it or not actually feeling like they need it. So tools that you can use, really good tool that you can use is Ubersuggest and Google Trends. So you can use the free versions of both of these. Google Trends is free anyway. And because I'm getting more active on YouTube, I'm also looking at TubeBuddy and vidIQ, which is informing me around keywords for videos that people are searching for on YouTube. Next thing, let's talk about graphics, because this is the fun stuff. You are probably creating graphics on a regular basis for your social media and probably also for your website, any kind of banners that you're creating. So I use Canva and I absolutely love it. My team uses it, and it just means that it's really, really easy for us to collaborate on any kind of graphics that we're needing to put out there. So I used to use a different tool that was kind of similar to Canva, but it didn't let me collaborate with my team, and it was just a lot clunkier to use. And the great thing about Canva is it has an abundance of royalty-free imagery that you can have access to as well. It's a freemium tool, so you can get started for free on it, and then you can upgrade to premium if there are features that you need to upgrade for. So Canva is what I use for all of my graphics. I could dive into the likes of Photoshop and Illustrator, but really they are such overkill for my requirements. So unless you're an actually graphic designer and putting together brochures and all sorts of things that are needing to go to print, there's probably very little need for you to have the likes of Illustrator. And photographers, they will need Photoshop because they need all of the more complex filters and functionality of Photoshop. But for the likes of you and me, entrepreneurs who are putting out social media stuff every single day, and we just want a quick, fast, easy fix and a way to create good-looking graphics quickly, then Canva is awesome. So whilst we're talking about social media posts, let's have a think about social media scheduling, because lots of people ask me, what do I use for scheduling out regular social media posts? And I've got to be honest, the platform that I am most active on is Facebook, and I use Facebook's native scheduling tool. So, but not all of the platforms have that. So the likes of Instagram and LinkedIn, you don't have that ability to schedule things out in advance. So you might want to look at the likes of Buffer or Hootsuite, or we have just started using something called Social Bee. I'm going to give you an insight into that in another video and let you know how it's working for us. I've got to be honest that Misha on my team is using it more than I am at the moment, so I don't feel particularly well versed in it, but it seems to be working well for us for scheduling out to other platforms. Just be conscious of the fact that the likes of Facebook, if you are scheduling out using a third-party tool, it likely impacts the visibility of your post, because it impacts the algorithm, and they don't give as much importance to posts that are scheduled through a third-party platform, such as Hootsuite or GoEdgar or any of these kind of third-party platforms. They prefer it to have been scheduled on their own platform or posted natively within Facebook. Another tool that I use a lot for my clients and also for people who are wanting to just connect with me is a scheduler. So the two ones that I would recommend that you have a look at are Calendly and Acuity. So I use Acuity. I've been using it for the longest time. I actually also have a lifetime access to Book Like a Boss, but I just haven't got it set up yet, which would be an alternative to Acuity. And I should really pull my finger out and just get it up and running and working, because I've seen other people using it and it works really, really well. What those schedulers do for you is they take a lot of the legwork out of going back and forth with people who are wanting to book a session with you, and basically they work like a receptionist. So even if you're paying like £10 a month, it's worth it just because your time is so much more valuable than that. So definitely, if you've got any kind of requirement for scheduling appointments, then have a look at some kind of scheduler. The other thing which I definitely could not run my business without is Zoom. So I've been using Zoom for the longest time, and actually in a way the pandemic has done me a favor, because it's brought everybody up to speed with Zoom. So where I used to have real resistance sometimes, where people would say, actually, and I would suggest a preference for Zoom so that we didn't have the travel time, and people will be resistant to that. Now everyone is like completely okay with virtual meetings on Zoom. So I run all of my client stuff on Zoom, and I really can't imagine how my business would run without it. Another tool that I use extensively is Trello. And in fact, I can give you a little bit of an insight into my Trello board, because this will just kind of give you an insight into how it works for me, and how I collaborate with my team on it. So if I just go ahead and share this with you, let me just check in and see that you can see it. Yes, you can. So this is one of my Trello boards that I share with a couple of my team members, and it just enables us to just collaborate on things and keep on top of actually what's happening. So we can see, we can put deadlines on things, we can actually template out things that are going to happen within any of my groups or my courses. And it's just a really, really great tool. Now, I am slightly disappointed with Trello in a way, because recently they just brought in a new pricing structure. And so if you had more than, I think, 3 boards, they just automatically billed you. We did get a bit of warning, and we could have moved our boards or merged them, or done a whole lot of, I mean, I think I have 20 Trello boards, probably even more. So it would have been a massive undertaking for me. So I just got hit with this bill from Trello. And some people, I've seen them saying that their bills have run into the thousands because they've got lots of users on their Trello boards. So I just find that that was a little bit of a backhanded way of trying to monetize the system. And I've been using Trello for such a long time on the free version. And so I don't begrudge giving them some money right now, but I do look at the way that they implemented it, and think that a lot of people would have been stung from it. And I'm in fact looking at a new system called Notion, and it's going to bring together lots and lots of different pieces. Things like, you know, at the moment, I sometimes have things on my Apple Notes, sometimes I have them on Trello, a few things are on Evernote. I kind of want to be able to pull everything together, and I think Notion is going to be able to do that for me for quite a low monthly fee. I think it's like £8 a month for the plan that I'm looking at. So there's lots of them out there. If you're wanting some kind of productivity or planning or collaboration app, there's things like Monday.com, Slack is a big one that lots of people are using, but Notion is the one that's kind of piqued my interest, and that's the one that I'm looking at next. So keeping on going through my list, email marketing. Okay, it's a biggie for all of us, whether you're doing it yet or not. Email marketing will play some kind of role in your online business. I don't think it's possible for you to build a successful online business without having email marketing. And so a big part of that puzzle is going to be the platform that you use. And you will have heard lots of people talking about which one you could possibly use. And some of the names that you might have heard banded about are MailChimp, ConvertKit, ActiveCampaign, Aweber, Ontraport, and all of them have their own strengths and weaknesses. So MailChimp is usually the one that people start out on because they have quite a good, flexible, free plan, but it does have its restrictions and limitations. And the one that I use is ActiveCampaign. So I upgraded from MailChimp, I think probably about 2 years ago, to ActiveCampaign, and I really haven't looked back. In fact, let me go ahead and share my my ActiveCampaign with you so that you can see why it's so powerful. So let me just open this up, and you can see one of my automations. So this is one of my automations when people come over into one of my courses, then I can have a full automation of when they have a tag applied. So when they've actually gone ahead and purchased the course, then it enrolls them into the course itself. It subscribes them to a list. It also gives them access to a few bonus courses. So these are the enrollments on that. Then it sends them out an email. Then it actually sends them another bonus. And then we have like these kind of conditions of did they opt in for the order bump? And if they didn't, then it takes them somewhere else. And if they did, then they get another email. So it's really, you can put together really, really sophisticated automations with it. And you can do it quite easily. So with this, the segmentation is so much easier, and the marketing is so much easier and more sophisticated than it was with MailChimp. And that's why I really, really love it. So that's the email marketing system that I use. Like I say, you need to take a look and see what's going to work best for you. The ones that you would probably look at, MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, or ConvertKit, are probably the top ones to take a peek at and see what's going to work for you. ConvertKit does also have a free plan. So that's email marketing. For my online courses, I use MemberVault, And that is, so you could, if you're running a WordPress website, you could actually have your delivery of your online courses through your WordPress website with a plugin such as LearnDash, or trying to think of some of the other ones, Lifter LMS. I choose not to do that because I wanted a system that I could teach people with less stress, so that they didn't have to really dig into the integration and the tech side of it. And so having a third-party platform that runs alongside the website means that if anything goes wrong with the platform, you can just reach out to support and they will help you with it. Whereas if it's integrated into your own website, you have the responsibility for maintaining it and making sure that it's all running smoothly. And if you have something that suddenly goes awry with, let's say, your subscription payments aren't going through correctly, then you've got to get to the bottom of that quickly. And you probably pay a developer to look into it for you because you're going to be losing money. So whereas with the likes of a third-party platform, all of that is taken care of for you, and it just removes part of the headache and the stress behind it. And I just love MemberVault. I have on my YouTube channel, I have got a kind of sneak peek of the platform behind the scenes of MemberVault and why I love it so much. But it's evolving all the time as well, because it's a reasonably new platform, and it has a fabulous marketing ethic as well, which means that they've really thought of a lot of the marketing aspects behind your online courses as well. So that's what I use for delivering my online courses. When I'm live streaming, I'm using StreamYard at the moment, and this is great for live streaming to multiple platforms at the same time. So at the moment, I'm live streaming to Facebook, into my group, and I'm also live streaming to YouTube. For file storage, I use Dropbox because that means that I can access all of my files on any device, whether I'm on my iMac, like I'm on at the moment. I can create a document and then I can still access it from my MacBook Pro when I'm on the move or wherever it might be. And for my checkout pages, I use Thrivecart. I absolutely love it. And again, I could be using the likes of WooCommerce that's integrated into my WordPress website, but I choose to use a third-party platform. It has a lot more flexibility in things like my payment plans, my subscriptions, and I just find the payment pages are just really, really easy to customize, and it makes it much faster for me to create products and workshops that I can just put together a sales page for them super fast and get them up and running and out into the world. So actually, Thrivecart has been a real game changer for me, and I have got a video with a show around of Thrivecart as well. But I will post links to all of these into the description. So if you're interested, or if you feel like you want to have a little poke around any of them, then you can go ahead and take a look. So let me just have a look and see if I've got any questions. Rosemary, lovely to see you here. So because I'm on StreamYard, what Facebook does when I see you bringing up a comment on Facebook, it shows up as a Facebook user if you haven't clicked on the link at the top. So thank you so much, whoever posted this. I'm sorry that I can't give you a shout out because I can't see the actual your actual name. And somebody else says, love Canva, I use Adobe too, but like you said, for social media graphics. So yeah, so if you are a designer, if you're well-versed in the Adobe suite, then the likes of Photoshop or Illustrator or InDesign are amazing. They are absolutely fabulous tools because they're so powerful, but most of them have more features than we actually need. So, so that's the reason why I love Canva, because it's just so easy to use. So hopefully this has been useful. If there are any tools or apps that you're wanting more of an insight into, I'm really happy to create videos on it if it would be useful. So just drop me a line or pop something in the comments here and let me know if any kind of show around any of the apps or platforms would be useful, and I can show you exactly how I use them in my business. But that's just like a whistle-stop tour of the tech stack that I use, and hopefully that's useful in case you're wanting to explore any of those tools yourself. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to be here every Wednesday at 12 o'clock UK time on a regular basis. Now that some of the noise in my background has actually stopped, some of the hammering isn't going on anymore. But lovely to have you here. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next week.